Hello, everyone. Um, Wanting to make a quick video here, um, just updating you on more of what I'm looking for this discussion here, of week two that is due tonight, um, or Monday night, whenever you are watching this. So describe the issues of land and inheritance in the Pentateuch. What is the connection, if any, between land and creation? How might the hope for inheritance be related to the story of creation and fall? Discuss blessings and curses found in Deuteronomy and their answers. So, I think a lot of you guys are kind of getting it, and others of you are kind of like, oh, I might be, I'm not sure, am I on the right track, and that sort of thing. So I'm not going to give the answers away, and this is a discussion board. So if it simply looks like you're processing the material, even if you're kind of getting it wrong or off or, you know, not fully getting it, you're still going to get full credit if it looks like you're really trying and doing the work and learning from other students and that sort of thing. So never fear if you feel completely lost in a discussion. You should fear if you're not doing anything in a discussion. So, um, and there's not fully right and wrong, as I've mentioned before, more of a direction that we tend to try to get you to go or think upon. So I just want to show you a couple things from the story of creation, and then you guys can hopefully then make more determinative um, conclusions from what you're finding in Deuteronomy. But um, if you haven't watched these videos, um, foolishness, you're foolish. If you, I'm giving you some great content here to spark some discussion and thoughts, and so you should be watching those. Um, and that'll help you with this discussion. But I just want to point out a couple of things from Genesis, which is really cool, and hopefully will help open your mind a little bit to some things that you may not have seen before. This is also kind of like anytime you get into the scripture here, meditate on it, make it maybe part of your devotional this week. This is one of my favorite parts of Genesis, studying this sort of thing. So, well, again, let me just emphasize what I'm getting at. Issues of land and inheritance, the connection between land and creation, those sort of things. How does the story of creation spark the inheritance, hope for inheritance, um, and that sort of thing? So let's first actually, I'm here in Genesis 3. I'm going to flip over to Genesis 1 really quick, if it'll let me. Um, and remember this, when you talk about Adam and Eve and what's going on, oh, good. I love it when it does that. When we talk about Adam and Eve, you can see I'm really talented at multitasking. Let me pause this a second. Okay, everyone, I am back here, and I think I've figured it out now. So here we go. Here is Genesis 1, and I want to highlight down here verse 28, where it says, God blesses them, and he said to them, be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the heavens, and over every living thing that moves on the earth. Okay, so what's going on here? Essentially, God has given them authority to subdue the earth. He's put them in the Garden of Eden, right? And then he said, be fruitful, multiply, subdue the rest of the earth. What is going on here? Well, if you recall, Satan has been cast down to earth. The earth is in chaos. And even in the light of creation and that sort of stuff, still a collision of two worlds, of heaven and earth. Adam and Eve have been placed in the garden. What you need to start realizing is the Garden of Eden is the same dynamic we have later in the tabernacle, um, in the imagery that fills the tabernacle, and which essentially is a place that hosts God's presence. The Garden of Eden, we know that the Lord would walk in the cool of the day in the garden, which means what? That is a special place, the garden. It's a holy place. When Adam and Eve sinned, they're cast outside of the garden. The garden itself has lots of symbolism and lots of well, it's set up essentially like the tabernacle was. It was a place where God could uh, his presence could interact with man, with Adam and Eve. And so that's very, very, very significant for you to understand. And so when they sin in the fall and in the curse that they are coming under, they're having to get out of that place where they can abide with God in His presence. That again is obviously the amazing and glorious reality we have through Christ, that the Spirit of God, the presence of God, can take up residence again in human beings because we've been made clean. When they fell and they're hiding themselves from God, it's what? It's that they realize they are no longer holy, and then they're now ashamed, and they can pick up the fact that God's presence is walking in the garden and coming, and they are hiding from it in fear and shame because the perfect holy God is coming close to them, and they are no longer able to exist in His presence the same way that they were. Um, the term here to fill the earth and subdue it is a military type term. It's talking about the commissioning of mankind to take that which is set up in Eden, which is essentially like heaven on earth. Heaven on earth was always God's plan, but He wanted to do it through partnership with man. So what has He done? He has commissioned mankind. Again, this is before the fall, but He's commissioned Adam and Eve. He's given them heaven on earth in the garden, a place where God can exist on earth. And He has commissioned them to subdue and have dominion over the rest of the earth, which means what? They were to expand what He gave them in the garden to the evermost parts of the earth. They missed out on that commissioning. It's the same thing that the people of Israel are meant to do. It's the same thing you and I are meant to do. It's uh, to take what is true of God's kingdom in heaven, to start to demonstrate that on earth and expand it. When Jesus said, "Thy kingdom come, Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven," it was a big deal. It means that it was always God's will, and He's recommissioning in some ways uh, for mankind to take hold of what was always God's plan and purpose for man, which was to take the realities of His world and make them so here on earth. Okay, so um, to fill the earth and subdue it. Again, if we're going back to your discussion board question here, it is I'm always losing it. Okay, how might this hope for inheritance be related to the story of creation and the fall? So those are some of the dynamics of creation and the fall. Again, I'm not giving everything away, but you find things, the blessings and curses found in Deuteronomy. I want you to start to tie back everything you see. The people that the Deuteronomy is written to, the people of Israel. Um, that's the reality that they're living in. They're in the desert, wandering. And when Genesis was written, it was at least to that group of people, meaning that when Genesis was written, all that time had already passed, and they were in wandering in the desert. So those people are always reading back through. When they read Genesis, they're reading it in light of what's happening in Deuteronomy. Does that make sense? So this dynamic of blessings and cursings is always going back to the concept of land and creation, and as we just mentioned, in seeing those dynamics of subduing the earth, and that's in the creation account. The dynamic of land is always a pivotal part uh, of these things. So that's enough for now to get you started, hopefully. Again, no worries about right and wrong answer. I'm just trying to get you in the wheelhouse of what we're looking at, and we'll give more feedback later after all the discussions are turned in. So that's it for now. Enjoy. Have an amazing Monday.